Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Code Realize Future Blessings. And it is so good that I looked over and tested my thing when I went to go to record. And I clicked in and I looked as I said my little intro because it wasn't recording audio. Haha. So we missed nothing. You just missed me saying, hey guys. And then I turned it on and said, hey guys. So you heard me. So there you go. I mean, double gun salute. Anyway, that was wow. Spacey's lost her fucking marbles. Anyway, so we are still in Lupin's route, and I'm not sure because I kind of felt like the last part when we got to the end, I kind of felt like that was the end. So I'm not really sure how much longer this is. It's weird because I feel like Lupin's route. My thought would be that it should be longer than the rest, but that seemed like a perfect ending. So I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see. I know in the other ones I was like, well, if it hits like a half hour, we'll just end it and then we'll start. Since Lupin's is the last before we start like the choice based stuff with like Lupin's gang and Sholmes and Finnis and all that stuff, I will probably, unless this is only like 10 minutes. But if this is like a half hour or so, between a half hour and an hour, I'll just, if it ends before we finish this part, then I'll just leave this part shorter than normal. Just so that I feel like with them it's okay to kind of like go from part to part, but if we're gonna start like a whole new, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I feel like when we get there. We know I can't make decisions in advance. Jesus. Anyway, this has been the week for it with like the change in the schedule left and right and everything. Although by the time this posts, it'll be like a week ago that all that happened. But whatever. I dreamt of times long since past. No, wait. I don't know if this is supposed to be. No, this is us. Okay. I'm like, wait a minute. I was surrounded by a garden resplendent with flowers in full bloom, carefully making my way around its paths. Red flowers, yellow and blue. I plucked each one with care, arranging them into a bouquet. A kaleidoscope of blooms fairly burst with life in my hands, neither wilting nor crumbling. Oh, when she's saying I was wondering, is like it's the memories of the actual person that she's supposed to be and not the her homunculus her. That's when I realize the dream me is not me at all. I'm witnessing fragments of memory written into the tissue from which I was partly fashioned. I'm about to step into my bedchamber, both hands overflowing of flowers. I mean to decorate it, arranging the blooms amidst the stuffed animal menagerie Father had given to me. But as soon as I open the door, the bundle of flowers crumbles, falling dead to the floorboards. The door shuts with a dull thud as if to imprison me. Only moonlight illuminates the gloomy interior. Unsteady on my feet, I stumble forward and collapse into the chair at the center of the room. There, I hear Father's voice echo all around me, speaking words I had heard countless times before.
Spacey, my beloved daughter.
Father's voice, gently calling my name. Father's voice speaking words repeated in my head hundreds upon thousands of times.
Spacey, it all begins with you.
And so I wonder why. His ever-present voice now feels unimaginably far away. Then, I'm sure, it's because Father's words were never spoken to me.
I love you so much, my dear daughter.
They'd been spoken to the me who came before. I open my eyes and gradually return to my body. Curiously, I feel wide awake despite just having risen. Huh. Spacey, did I wake you? Lupin, clearly still awake, even at this hour, looked at me in apparent surprise. I shake my head no and avert my eyes. Right now, looking up at him was more than I could take.
I know, right? Because he's so goddamn beautiful.
What's wrong? Did you have a bad dream? I'm still not sure I would label it a bad dream, but it was a very, very sad dream from before I was born, a long time ago. I collect scraps of dream memory before they can evaporate and piece the tale back together for him. Lupin falls silent and listens patiently. I was me, but not myself. It was a vision of memories not my own, things I witness only beyond the veil of dreaming. Remnants of a time when I still lived. Father was there, although I did not yet know him. Yet I remember his voice. I remember him tenderly stroking my hair. But there's little else I know of my true father, the living man, Isaac Beckford, a genius who brought about scientific revolution, a man who called me daughter. I wonder if that man truly was my father. I'd been thinking aloud. Now that the idea was voiced out in the open, I couldn't shake it. What, what exactly do you mean? I just can't make up my mind about it. He said it. I heard him. His natural daughter Spacey and I are separate beings. I'm nothing but an imitation. Father, Isaac, thought of the natural born Spacey as his daughter, not me. This is the hard truth I'm confronted with. And yet he also addressed me, now, as his daughter. It's all so confusing. I sincerely believed that he loved me, but I'm not her. It's true, I felt it deep inside. Even after witnessing the horror of my mute, dead sisters encased in glass, deep down I believed Isaac and I were family. He did reject me as an imitation, but at the very end,
Family, together, never separated again. Together, again.
smiling, happy, loving. So terrible. I could not be a dramatic actress. There you go. I couldn't grasp his feelings entirely, but I realized then he just wanted to be reunited with his beloved family. Meaning, the issue of your identity just got even harder to wrap your head around. An unspeakably cruel scientist playing God with human lives, a loving father who cared for his family above all else. Which of these was the real Isaac? I didn't know enough about the man to arrive at a conclusion. If the true Isaac had been both of these, the goal he could only realize by altering his psyche so completely was. The past is done, yet I still wonder. If we'd had more time together, if we'd talked, would anything have changed? Could I have found out what Father was really thinking? Now that he and Finis are gone, I can only guess at his true intentions through fragmentary scraps of memory. I'll probably never know what they were. It's just part of being human. Nobody can ever really know what other people are feeling. Lupin caresses my hair fondly. The warmth in his touch is completely different from Father's. I could tell he was genuinely concerned for me. The best you can hope for is understanding your own feelings, and sometimes even that could be too much to handle. So, even if you never fully understand Isaac's innermost feelings, you do know what yours are, right? My own feelings? Yeah. So tell me, how do you feel about Isaac? Isaac Beckford. I think I had to find an extra dose of courage to say it aloud. It was right in front of me, of course. Looking into the eyes of the most precious person in the world gave me the strength to continue. My new family. I still want to think of him as my father. Even now, I want to remember him as family. There it was. Hearing myself say the words aloud, my wish grows even stronger. I'm a reflection of Spacey. I never was Isaac's real daughter and never will be, but I know in my heart of hearts the love Father felt for me was no reflection. It was real. Father tenderly stroking my hair. Father lovingly whispering in my ear. It's a simple fact. I remember being loved. I can't reject that. It would be wrong. Lupin smiles gently. Well then, that's how you feel about him. I do, but Finis, my younger brother, who wished so desperately to be loved. He called himself a doll, even a tool. Was a little bit of a tool. He wasn't talking about that kind of tool, but he was that kind of tool. Did Father have any love for him? That's why he was a tool. My sense that he did not, versus my hope that he did, all mixed up in my heart. I'm at a loss for words. The two contrasting views I have of Isaac waver behind my closed eyes, warping and distorting. There's no need to resolve this now. You have an entire lifetime for that. And hey, feel free to include me in this. Anyway, if you're going to dwell on this and suffer for it, I'll just go ahead and include myself. Lupin to the rescue. He says this with such good cheer, I can't help but wonder if he's intentionally putting on a show. Either way, it's so considerate and warm. Thank you, Lupin. You know, you don't have to thank me. Tonight I learned that saying things out loud can make nebulous, wordless ideas more clear. I just wanted to know, still want to know who Isaac Beckford really was. Yet even thinking of Isaac as family, as father, no matter how much more I try to discover about him, it won't change the here and now one bit. It doesn't matter how much I want to know what Isaac's true feelings were. There's no way to find out. Of course not. Isaac is long since... If you need to know that badly, why not just ask? Wha He says this with such straightforward sincerity. I turn to stare at him. Much too soon to call it quits. Do you have an idea? Of course he does. Lupin would never say such a thing if he didn't already have one of his inspired plans brewing. Excited but afraid to let blind optimism take control, I ask again. And sure enough, he flashes his invincible grin. Come now, who do you think I am? It is I, the greatest thief in history, Arsène Lupin. If you but desire it, I shall grant any wish. A dashing gentleman thief could never refuse. Ugh, I know it's une belle. I have no idea what, I know femme, but is it June femme? June femme? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know French! I don't know fucking French. He needs to stop it with the motherfucking French. Okay? I'm gonna start reading it like it's fucking Japanese, okay? Fuck you guys. Stop talking French. Anyway. Une belle, whatever that is. Une belle is like beauty. Femme is female or woman or something. Basically. I don't know what the other one is. Un is like one or the or something, right? I mean, something like that. I can kind of guess. I don't know what the other one is. I don't know. My lovely little beautiful girl. My beautiful Spacey. That's basically what he said. That's it. That's all we need to know. Go on. Ask. Stop fucking speaking French. That's what I ask, but he's not going to do it. If he really can grant it, I want to know. I want to know who Isaac really was. What was in his heart? And he's like, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. Well said. Your wish is my command, mademoiselle. Having played his customary gentleman thief role, Lupin gently pats me on the shoulder. Anyway, we'll get into the finer points tomorrow. I want you to get some good rest tonight. I can't possibly sleep after what you just said. I realize I just sounded like a petulant child. But Lupin is unfazed. In fact, he looks strangely happy. Now, mademoiselle, shall we not sail the night sky hand in hand upon a boat made of dreams? I am a fine navigator. She's like, what the fuck? Someone seems to be enjoying himself. Really? Well, it always makes me happy when I have the chance to do something for you. Of course I'm enjoying myself. Whence, therefore, lay down thy sleep, beclouded head, and rest. The feats I am to perform shall not prove unworthy, milady. What the fuck did you just say? That was some Shakespeare shit right there. All right, I'll try my best to sleep. Try my best, she says. Some things about you never change. Afterward, I drift off to deep sleep, cradled in Lupin's arms. Oh, I want to drift off to deep sleep, cradled in Lupin's arms. I don't know if I had any dreams, but I do know I slept soundly. The gentleman thief had rid my mind of worry. So maybe everyone else has like one little side story and he's got like two little side stories. That's kind of interesting. I'm fine with that. I figured his path would be longer. So when that the making him jealous kind of wrapped up, I was like, are we seriously? Because that was really short. What was that, like an hour and a half tops? I mean, the next day, Lupin didn't return to the mansion until the sun was setting. He'd been away since morning. Lupin, what were you up to all day? Just making a public declaration of criminal intent. A public what? Well, I guess you'll just have to wait until we cross that bridge, eh? I'm going to need your help on this one. We move out once night falls, so you'd best get some sleep while you can. While you can. That would have sounded better. Sometime after Lupin said those words, after the citizenry of London was abed. You did not tell me about this. You didn't. You never said anything about breaking into a royal residence. Surprised? Aren't we fucking all, Lupin? Jesus. I sigh heavily, hiding in the shadows of this enormous hallway. Surprise doesn't begin to cover it. Buckingham Palace was the last place I expected to find myself tonight. When we left the mansion, you said, and I quote, "We're just letting ourselves into an acquaintance's place, no big deal." I know. I draw the line at being called a liar. This is the Queen's house, and is she not an acquaintance? Lupin shrugs nonchalantly. I breathe my second heavy sigh of the night. It's too late to back out now. I have no choice but to finish what we came here for, and not get spotted. We wait until the guard on patrol turns a corner and sprint down the hallway, suppressing the sound of our footsteps. Yeah, on glass. Good luck with that. Slipping through security, we make our way deeper into the palace interior. Maybe if I was wearing slippers, that'd be great. I draw out my mental map of the palace. If memory serves, this is where Victoria was besieged during that awful battle. We're nearly at the heart of the palace now. How far does Lupin intend to go? Now then, we'll be stepping out into the central courtyard for a bit. Stay sharp. I nod and look pointedly ahead. This may be one of the tricks Lupin pulled while he was out all day. There are very few guardsmen anywhere. Cautiously assessing our surroundings, Lupin points forward. All right, we're nearly at the rendezvous point. Who are we rendezvousing with? I can only assume Lupin arranged to have an ally join us while I was at the mansion. But when we step into the courtyard, the figure waiting for us was not one I expected to see. I was like, well, it's definitely not the Queen, because we wouldn't have to sneak in, so, yeah. Okay, that was going to be my next guess, but then he popped up fast. Lionheart? Those brows knit up in unease, that mouth twisted into an upset grimace. There was no mistaking his ill-tempered scowl. Imperial Guard Captain Rampart Lionheart stood there, ramrod straight. And now, of all times... Lupin, we're fine. For tonight, at least. Paying me no mind whatsoever, Lupin crawls out of the bushes we're hiding in. Then he walks right up to Lionheart, arms raised in mock surrender. Hey there, Lionheart. Thanks for being our tour guide tonight.
How dare you address me with such wanton familiarity? I am captain to you, wretched housebreaker.
After all we've been through, didn't we save the country and Her Majesty together, old buddy?
My hand was forced by circumstance in the heat of the moment.
It was such a poor attempt at an excuse, I'm unable to hold in a giggle. Captain, what did Lupin mean by tour guide? Lionheart's features contorted to the most extraordinary example of displeasure I've ever seen on a human face. Compared to the amiably grinning Lupin standing beside him, it was almost... Amiably. Yeah. Spacey can read. Anyway. It was almost sad.
Ahem. It is Her Majesty the Queen's order. She bids me escort you to a certain location under royal authority.
Much obliged, old pal. Right then, I'm counting on you. Oh, right then. I'm counting on you.
Do not touch me. Keep your filthy hands off me. Cease this familiarity.
I like how he's so angry and Lupin just keeps fucking goading him. Lupin is that fucking person who just like poke the bear. Oh my god.
If not for Her Majesty's orders, I would have the both of you.
Pettifoggers? Pettifoggers? What the fuck is that? I don't even know what that means.
In shackles this very moment.
Unless I was supposed to be French too, and I just totally bastardized it. I don't know French words, okay? Whoa. Keep it down, huh? If army men spot us, it wouldn't be pretty for anyone. It won't be pretty for anyone. By now, I'm fairly sure I know what Lupin has been up to since morning. And in all, a pretty tame public declaration of criminal intent. Oh, all in all. But But for Victoria to personally appoint Captain Lionheart as our guide, what could Lupin have possibly asked of the Queen of England?
Be that as it may, my duty is to my queen. You will follow me.
Led by Lionheart, Lupin and I fall into position and begin to walk. I find myself in the awkward position of stifling giggles along the way, amused by Lupin and Lionheart's exchanges. I know I'm amused too. After passing through several stages of increasingly severe locked portals, the captain stops. We're very deep inside now. Ahead was a secret chamber that even Lupin would have difficulty gaining access to. The lock disengages with a clank, and sturdy double doors swing open. I gasp involuntarily at the incredible sight that lay beyond. Ooh! A library? Some sort of book vault? A library it surely was not. I want to call it a bibliomaniac fortress. Bibliomaniac fortress.
Bibliomaniac!
That sounds like
my superhero power is reading books!
Oh. It's like in Family Guy when they all got superpowers in that one side episode. And Meg's power was growing her nails. Look, I can grow my nails really long and short. Everyone's like, oh, your power sucks.
My power is reading books!
Oh, everybody has that power. Well, maybe you could just read books fast.
I can read books slightly faster than most people.
Its imposing door was intimidating enough, but every shelf is locked individually, and some areas are partitioned off with chains. Oh, partitioned off with chains. I can't read tonight. I don't know. I have no doubt there are volumes here written in long-dead languages, from places vanished off the face of the earth, so I need some bibliomaniac powers, because I can't read at all, clearly. Lupin approaches the bookshelf closest at hand and whistles in admiration. Wow, this is really something. Some of these are... Apocrypha? Apocrypha? Of the highest order. I have no idea. That's okay. I've been in the burglary business for a long time, and a hoard like this is not something you see every day. Grimoires... Librorum Prohibitorum. Prohibited library? I don't know. Forbidden methodologies? It's true, all of these are officially non-existent. Librorum Prohibitorum. Like, prohibitorum is like prohibited, or... And is librorum like library, I'm assuming, in Latin? That's definitely fucking Latin. Books forbidden from publication, reading, or possession by law. According to rumor, these are even books that can endanger an entire nation. Oh, so...
That's the... We can't read that stuff in our schools. It will mess up our kids.
If you're American, that's what it... Sorry. You can't read a Catcher in the Rye in schools. It will make our kids all deranged. They haven't got rid of that one yet, have they? I don't know. They got rid of a lot of books. Man. Anyway. Oh. It'd be ruin for us all if any one of these leaked to the outside world. The knowledge in some of these tomes, one person could single-handedly bring down an entire country.
You are not here to get excited. Those words may stir ill fortune. At any rate, only Her Majesty and a very select few others are permitted to enter this chamber.
Okay. I know that people have things against, destroying books and shit, but, if these are dangerous books, why do they exist? Like Tom Riddle's diary. Why do... let's just keep it because it's a book, so we can't just... No, that needs... Bye, Felicia. Stab that shit with a basilisk tusk, okay? Get it rid. Bye. It's dangerous. Yeah. Fiend fire that shit. I'm just saying. Dangerous. Bad. Not good. Just because it's locked in here doesn't mean it's safe. Just saying.
By all rights, no petty cut-purse should ever be granted entry here. Ensure that you exercise the greatest care.
Yeah, got it. So, where are the goods? Lionheart nodded toward me rather than Lupin, his voice grave and weighty.
It's this bookcase, Miss Spacey.
All of Isaac's works, I'm guessing. Lionheart proceeds to unlock one compartment within a larger bookcase. The documents within are much more recent than most of the specimens here. And there, Isaac Beckford, his name engraved as clear as day. Were these really father's? There are movable typeset manuscripts and dissertations, hand-lettered volumes, even loose leaves shoved into envelopes. Letterpress printing, a method of printing by means of applying ink to the letters on a printing press, invented in Germany by Gutenberg during the 15th century. And the first book that was ever printed was the Gutenberg Bible, I believe. I think that's right. I don't know. Sounds about right. Let's just pretend. I think it's actually what it was, but... Bundles of letters from colleagues, a ragged notebook clearly used for years, erratic memos with notes in the margins. I can't read French words, but I can remember that the Gutenberg Bible was the first book that was ever printed on a printing press. Random shit that you learned God knows where and you remember for some fucking reason. Now I can also sing the theme song to Zoobly Zoo, which is just fucking weird. Because why the hell do I still have that in my head after like 500 years? Anyway. An absolutely staggering amount of documents. I wonder how one man could ever have written so much in a single lifetime.
Almost everything from Isaac Beckford's study, even memoranda with no scientific value, are under strict Crown control.
Isaac was practically, deified in the United Kingdom. The value these relics hold is incalculable. It almost doesn't feel real. The way Lupin speaks about Father, I just can't relate. That wasn't the man I knew. You barely knew him, though. You barely remember him, so... Softly, wonderingly, I place a hand on the bookcase and gaze up at it. Words pour out of me in hushed whispers. Did the government ever manage to find the documents we saw at the underground research facility? Underground research facility. A facility that Isaac used for research. He appropriated a facility constructed beneath the graves of those who died from the Black Death. Yeah, Twilight had them for a while, but the Crown has the entire collection now. I hear the shockwave from the Nautilus reduced the facility itself to rubble, though. There's no going back there. Which would mean... Having no reply to give, I close my eyes. I feel so powerless at times like this. The only act I would be capable of here would be prayer, like mysterious, pious Saint Germain.
Well then, I will stand guard at the only entrance. Let me know if I can be of any assistance.
You don't need to keep an eye on us?
Were it Lupin alone, I would nail my eyes open. But I doubt he would do anything unchivalrous in your presence.
Such faith you show in me. But in any case, merci beaucoup. We're in your debt, Captain. I know that one. But see? There's a P in that word and you don't pronounce. See what I'm saying? Like, I can't. We watched as Lionheart took his position by the massive entrance, then turned to look at the daunting bookshelf. And also there's words that you know, like merci beaucoup. You know the word, but you don't until you, and then you see it in print, you're like, oh, you know what I mean? There's probably words that be like, oh, I've heard that before. I just couldn't recognize it spelled, but also I don't know French. So, And I think it's funny because this is one game that was suggested, like when you're learning Japanese, that like if you want to try to play games in Japanese, this is a good one, like one of the good ones, or like the school type ones, because they use general language and it's not like time specific or like anything. But I'm like, really? Because there's a lot of motherfucking French in here. But I'm assuming they're not going to spell it on Japanese. It would be like you'd see a bunch of Japanese and then random like English, well, Roman character words, and you'd be like, okay, skip that. Like, it'd be me reading the Japanese. Like, I can read that. Fuck that French shit, but it's actually pretty funny, but anyway, yeah. I was just thinking of that earlier. Like, I just don't see how this one would be easy to read in Japanese when there's a lot of French in here. I can't even read it in English, for God's sakes. Lupin begins to examine the collection, rifling through one book after another, returning them to the shelf. But I was overwhelmed, frozen. So much information about my father spread out before me. Even after coming so far, I was scared, afraid of what I might find. I couldn't bear to look. You need to know, right? Spacey, you need to know what Isaac was thinking. I I know. I do. I nod ever so slightly and reach out towards the assembly of books. I'm drawn immediately to a small volume, hidden amongst the massive dissertations and monographs. It's almost as if some unseen force was pulling me, coaxing me towards it, like a personal diary. That's what you need. I take the slim book in my hands and stare at its cover. Lupin watches, but remains silent. I mean, sorry. If you think about it, so like this is all of his works, blah blah blah, and you just expect some random stuff. But like, obviously, like they wouldn't have stuff from like when he lived with his family, like, and they died because somebody burned his house down, right? But could you just imagine, like, you're so important that someday when you're dead, everything that you've ever written and pictures and just all sorts of stuff of yours is just in some kind of fucking library like this? Like, nobody may look at this, but like, someday somebody's gonna go in like this and be like going rifling through and like, oh, look, here's these random shit you were. What kind of bullshit is this writing about? And you're like, I was like 12, stop. You know what I mean? Could you just imagine? I mean, like, even now, somebody finds, like, your diary from, like, middle school. I mean, I never had a diary, thank God. But, like, what if they did? And then you'd be like, I'm so embarrassed for myself. Like, you think it's funny to go back and, like, read stuff, but I mean, I find it, like, I used to write a ton, like, stories and poems and started how many goddamn books back in, like, junior high and high school was, like, the thing. And I just love reading them now because I'm like, this is so lame. But I can remember writing it and remember what I was thinking. And sometimes some of them, I had one that I started writing, and I can't find it now. For the life of me, I cannot find the notebook that it was written in anywhere. And I just remember because there'd be so many times I'd go through and read it and be like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I'd find the point where I ended, where I stopped, and I'd be like, oh man, I'm so disappointed because I want to read more. Like, I'm probably the only person who gets that entertained by my own writing, but whatever. Somewhat unsteadily, I open the book. A musty aroma strikes me, redolent of bookish age, as well as a scent that's somehow nostalgic. Immediately, I recognize the hand of my father. It's the same as all the letters I've read. These are no scientific notes. This is no hand-penned draft of some scholarly work. This, this is father's diary? Ha! You knew. Come on. Fearfully, I begin to turn the pages. That's what you want to find, right? Because that's where you know what he's thinking. I find no impenetrable scientific jargon, only trivial musings. They're clear and honest. His true thoughts. The wonder of seeing the great city of London for the first time, his hopes and concerns for the future, his joy at having his research valued, of sending for the woman he loved to join him in the city and of building a new home, his pure feelings of happiness at their modest wedding and the future blessings it portended. Future blessings. They say that in every single one of them except for what? St. Germain's, they didn't do that? The tears of joy he shed when his children were born. I read that as because I saw God underneath and I saw the G and I was like, grandchildren. I was like, what? I don't know why my brain saw the G and decided it had to say grandchildren. Good Lord. His children were born. His gratitude towards God and the world he lived in. Moving to distant Wales for the sake of his children. Beginning life there anew. Then today's entry. My sweet daughter called me Papa today. Her first word. It had been a bit of a competition with my wife, and I confess I'm happy I was first. Then again, my son's first word was Mama. I suppose I must call it a tie. It is indeed the little things that bring me true joy. Domestic happiness propels my research. I pray my labors will bear fruit so that I may provide my dear children with a brighter future as they grow and mature. Today's entry. The children are walking. The girl is a little harridan, full of energy. My wife told me she recently ran into a wall and burst into tears. Energy is a fine thing, but I confess I do wish she'd ended up with fewer bruises. She will grow to be a proper lady after all. Once the both of them become steadier on their feet, we shall take a family trip. I want the children to meet my colleagues at the Royal Society. London, perhaps. So I'm assuming maybe Spacey was born for, but it does make it sound like they're twins here. Because, they're both walking. So, like, unless she had fucking Irish twins, you know what I mean? Like, instantly had 2 kids. It sounds like they're roughly the same age because they're both walking. They're both learning to speak at the same time. And yes, that's it. That wondrous place I so often visited, with its grand view of all the city. I just know the children will adore it. What a shame it would be to gaze out at that stunning view alone. With each turn of the page, his kind voice rings in my head. Isaac, the mad scientist, the man who tried to plunge the world into eternal war. Isaac, the doting father, smiling benevolently as he penned his diary. I never imagined they could be the same person. I thought he had lost human emotions when he gained that terrible mechanical body. And yet, with each turn of the page, those disparate identities begin to intersect. Today's entry. I want to marry you when I grow up, Papa. I never thought this day would come. I want to marry you when I grow up. Weird. I mean, they do say you grow up and marry someone who is like your father and or your mother, depending on, which is just really bizarre if you think about it. But my wife said, "You only think that now," but I was so moved I swept her off her feet. Of course, I know it's only for now. Someday she and Phineas will grow up and leave the nest to start their own lives. But I pray that day yet lies far, far in the future, and that it arrives slowly. Oh, never happened, huh? It's clear now. The father I knew, so full of love, and the tragic madness of Isaac Beckford, both disparate identities were driven by the same well of emotion. I think back to when I was ensnared in the celestial sphere. I saw father there, as he once was, his true loving self, before he met with such a terrible fate. I mean, his love for his family is what drove him to madness. You know what I mean? If you think about it. Spacey, Phineas, happy birthday, my beautiful children. Yeah, they must be twins. They got the same damn birthday. Okay, so there you go. That answers that. Because it's weird, because they keep saying, like, she calls him her younger brother, but then they said they were twins, and it's like, so he must, well, like 2 minutes younger? Whatever. The heavens blessed us with you 5 years ago today, and I offer the deepest thanks. Today's an anniversary of sorts. I feel I must write something special, but proper words elude me. Struth! What shall I do? Struth? Struth. So truth. Very well. Not the most original words, but I pray that you both grow up in health. Only the good Lord above knows precisely what you may grow up to be, but Spacey and dear Phineas, my most beloved progeny, my very deepest wish is this. Aww, I know it's not really us, but it's still adorable. Aww. Phineas looks just like our dad, and we look just like our mom. That your futures may be continually blessed with love, joy, and never-ending happiness. That is fucking adorable. There the diary ended. He must have taken this book out countless times, staring at the words he had written. No more sentences followed, but there was this, a tattered and faded photograph. A father and mother smiling benevolently, a pair of siblings laughing together. I know. I want to be like, look at baby Spacey. It's not as cute as baby fucking Impey. It's really fucking not. But like, because we still look goddamn the same, just shorter. We still have that same damn face. I'm just saying. The photograph was idyllic. Happy faces bearing no hint of the tragedy to come. Happy faces that had once been ours. We still have the same hairstyle, and so does Phineas, except for he's got buns, but... Tears came then, spilling in rivulets down my cheeks. Free of poison, they pattered to the floor, melting nothing. They all looked so happy. As happy a family as there ever was, but now they're all together in, like, heaven, maybe, if Isaac went there, even though, I mean, I'm just saying, but whatever. But like the photograph itself, the happiness I see is long since faded. I really do like the fact that they show, like, the rips in the photograph, like, he pieced it together. Like, he got the ripped, torn, damaged photograph out from the fire or, like, the ruins of whatever, and, like, it's a nice effect. Because they could have just made it look, like, old and just perfect, but I like the tattered corners and shit. The faces warp and distort, occluded by a flow of tears that refuse to abate. I clutch the little diary tight against my chest. Lupin embraces me softly, steadying my shaking shoulders. Did you find what you were looking for? Yes. My precious gentleman thief delicately wipes away the tears with his fingertips. One thing has become abundantly clear. Father's extraordinary genius. He was the man who had thrust the United Kingdom a century or more into the future. A man respected and feared, known far and wide as the modern Prometheus. A man who had attempted to play God. Isaac Beckford was a man who loved his family with all of his heart, and yet he was also the man who had concocted a truly evil plan to force the world into never-ending conflict. Be that as it may, he was also a father who loved his family. That's what fathers. Oh, that's what fathers are. I never had one myself, but I do have a beloved wife. I understand Isaac's feelings about family. They were important to him, and he loved them more than anything. That's the reason he did it. He was trying to bring back the family he lost. Even if it meant stepping foot into the most forbidden of scientific territories. Even if it meant destroying everything else in his life. Even if it meant turning the entire world against him. He wanted his beloved family back. That was the single wish Father was attempting to fulfill. I mean, you can't really begrudge him for that, right? Because you kind of think of it, you're like, yeah, I mean, most of us are sane enough to be like, well, that would be a bad idea. We shouldn't do that no matter how hurt we are. But he snapped, and human beings have a tendency to snap. And he lost everything. He was trying to help people, and they were so goddamn stupid that they blamed him and killed his family. Like, hi, that's enough. I mean, that makes me angry on his behalf, even though he's a crazy son of a bitch. I can kind of see why he snapped and turned into a crazy son of a bitch. Just saying. After all this time, I finally understand. I'll never be able to forgive Father and Finis for what they did. They caused unimaginable destruction and suffering. They tore lives apart in the name of their plan. But that doesn't change the fact that they were my family. Even if it wasn't the family Father had tried so hard to regain, nor the love and acceptance Finis longed so desperately for, even if it wasn't what I had wished for deep within my heart, it was family. You can't help your family, man. You can't pick your family, you just gotta love them anyway. Yeah. That's exactly right. Thanks, Lupin. I love it when he agrees with me. Lupin tightens his grip on my shoulders, looks me in the eye, and nods. All of you, in your own ways, you kept on dreaming the dream. Dreaming? The dream I had of the me that was not me, I suppose. Isaac Beckford, my father, and Finis, my brother. Trying and failing over and over, confronted with reality, feeling the sting of despair. All to chase after dreams they hoped they would never wake up from. When this is all over someday, you'll have a new family of your own. You'll be able to love again. Just as you did. I silently nod. I wish that I had been shown more love. I wish I had been able to show more. If my fate had somehow been different, I may have been able to... For a moment I felt sweet yet sorrowful pangs of longing, but then they're gone. For the both of them are no more. Thanks to Lupin, I'm finally able to hold hands, to touch people. But my father and brother have moved on to a place I cannot touch. Exhaling softly, I flip through the diary once more. It's so very full of familial love. You were loved by your father, your mother, and your little brother. Yes, me. I'm sure she loved them too. Our dear, dear family. I will never regain the family I lost. That wish will remain forever unfulfilled. I must make peace with the simple truth that they're in my past. What? Isaac's entry seemed to have concluded, but a new paragraph leapt out at me after turning several blank pages. What? It took a few moments before I could make out what was written there. It seemed like a scribble, yet it had been penned in a firm hand. If the day should come that my physical body dies and its warmth fades, should there be a time when I may embrace you no longer, I promise that my feelings will remain. To my most beloved family, may you be granted happiness everlasting. The entry bears no date. There's no way to guess when it may have been written. All that I can be sure of is that these words were intended to be read in the future. But which Isaac wrote them? Again, I have no way of knowing. But one thing is absolutely clear. The warmth of his emotion, wishing for his family's happiness, it's still here. I assert the feel of the battered diary with my eyes closed and gauge its weight. I don't know quite how to say it, but the me who's not me, she feels it too. Some essence here is still alive. I don't want to deny it a place. Those are the words I spoke, strange as they were to hear. And then leave things as they are. Lupin draws me closer, and I lean my head on his chest. This is the man with whom I vowed to spend my life, sealing it with a blessed kiss. From now on, I'll love you. From now on, I'll also love you. From now on, I'll love you, and I'll also love you. Great. A kiss not only for him, but to represent the new family we were together. I'll also love you for Isaac and Finis. No, dozens, hundreds of times more. I, Arsène Lupin, do swear to bring you happiness. I'll love you too, Lupin. Let's be happy together. Of course. Absolutely. I hear a fluttering sound. The photograph wedged in the diary I still held had fallen from its pages. A very special photograph, as if literally cut out of the past. In the image, my father smiled. In the image, he would smile forever. As if he's with his family. I love you. As if blessing our future. I feel like that's a good ending. You know, because we tied up that little bow. Yeah, there you go. I was like, yeah. So now we'll get the little end thing, and then we'll get the after scene. Ah! I mean, in this one, we got married in the last one, so I can't, like, begrudge that, but, like, Jesus. They keep showing us all these wedding pictures, and we never get a wedding. We got one with Lupin, I know, but... Oh. I'd like to point out that Lupin is also a character in some of the Black Butler episodes, so that just fuels even more my Van Helsing / Lupin like bromance ship, because they're both in this and they both do voices in Black Butler. Yeah. Which just, I love that so fucking hard. I figured that out because if you watch Bad Apple Wars, you saw me flip the fuck out because Van Helsing does a voice in that too. And I was like, how many fucking games do I have that this motherfucker is in? Because I was like, damn it, he's in everything. Like, so I went to like look, but you know what the weird thing is? I looked, and it didn't have Bad Apple Wars in his like, I don't want to say filmography, like his voicing for video games, which is really weird. But he's in the credits. I saw it. So Lord knows how many games. But then it made me curious if Lupin was in anything else, and then I saw he was in Black Butler too, and I was like, they're like best friends in real life. I'm just gonna pretend. I really just want a Lupin and Van Helsing bro hug. Do. After scene. Here we go. Yay! Code Realize. The conclusion, single scientist, a single man, found beyond the depths of despair all traces of happiness lost. He was to transform himself into a deity of iron and steam, embroiling the entire world in a never-ending age of warfare. It was a plan born of sheer madness, its goal to accelerate the advancement of technology through eternal conflict. But was it truly war he had hoped to realize? Why else assign his plan such a code name? I think the answer was much simpler. The man who fancied himself a mechanical god had desires more earthly than divine. He wanted to see his family again. He wanted to bring them back, so that he could love them forever. It was a small, humble, thoroughly human wish. Steel London, a city standing at the pinnacle where science met steam, architected by Isaac Beckford. This is nice. This is interesting. We've never had this quite view before. We've had the out to the left view, but I stood atop the great outer wall that encircled the city, offering unparalleled views of the streets below. I have no idea who this is supposed to be. I don't know. Exterior wall. Defense. Oh, exterior wall. Defense wall. I started doing a weird mishmash voice there. A colossal wall that surrounds London. It serves as a powerful defense for this city with many cannons lining it, ready to fire on any would-be enemies. So much more fun when you read in that voice. The wind ruffles my hair as I stare blankly out at the vast metropolis. Okay, Disney, cool. The day has finally come when Impey is to depart for America. All of our friends, Lupin's gang, had gathered at St. Germain's for a farewell party last night, staying up until dawn. There was a sense of unreality to saying goodbye while the events we all lived through were still so fresh in my memory. And yet, each of us are indeed setting off to seek our own individual dreams. Today is sure to mark a significant before and after point in our lives. It should be any moment now. The first gust strikes me as I say the words. A restless thrumming of mechanical wings blares from the distant sky. I can't help but feel a thrill to hear it. I associate the sound with adventure and events in motion. The ornithopter? The buzzing grows louder and louder, and I'm almost blown off my feet by a powerful blast of air. Above the din, a familiar voice.
Spacey, keep you waiting long?
There it is. Impey! I look up at the sky and wave expansively. Impey enthusiastically returns my wave from the ornithopter's pilot seat. Ornithopter, a type of aerial vehicle that takes flight by flapping its wings like a bird. Due to its weight, its practicality and reality is limited at best, but it is utilized effectively in the game's world. Seated next to him, looking more like cargo than a passenger.
One order of Lupin, coming right up.
Impey, you misbegotten sham! You cannot tie me up and fly me off to Lord knows where without explanation. A sight I never expected to see. Lupin with his wrists and ankles bound, fuming. I'm hit with a sudden, premature pang of sadness. I won't be hearing this familiar banter of theirs much longer. But sadness is simply not on the menu today. I must see Impey off with a smile that matches his own. Thanks for the delivery, Impey. Maybe we should untie him now?
If the winsome young Spacey should wish it, I have no moral qualms about ignoring Lupin's human rights.
What in the name of... Blasted Impey, you brought her into this madness.
You're a bit mistaken about the whole affair, Lupin. This was at her request.
Huh? Speak English, why do...
Righty-ho, we'll just nip that one in the bud. The rest, you can ask her.
He pushed him out, didn't he? What? Whoa! No sooner had I noticed Impey had cracked open the cockpit hatch does he kick Lupin through it. While still bound, of course. With no choice but to battle against the inevitable forces of gravity, Lupin masterfully unties his own ropes, flips gracefully, and lands on his feet. Quite worthy of applause, actually. Whoa! That was too close! If you'd done that to anyone else, they'd be splat! Dead! Lupin glares up at the sky, clearly angered. But Impey had already shut the hatch and simply flashed us a thumbs up sign.
See ya, partner, Spacey, and I'm off.
His cheery voice, a perfect tonal match with the bright blue sky, grew distant even as he shouted his farewell from the ornithopter. See you too, Impey! I wave as I've never waved before. I wanted to be absolutely certain Impey noticed it as far away as he was now, his ornithopter hurtling towards the horizon. Tch! That Impey, up to his old tricks even when it's come time to say goodbye. Lupin continues to mutter under his breath, but his words are drowned out by the wind. It'll be a substantial separation from the one friend who stuck by him the longest. There's no way it won't affect him. I know, you'll just have to be besties with Van Helsing, it's okay. After he lowers his eyes from the sky, I approach slowly. Lupin... Sorry, I can't believe I let him get away with something so crazy, on this of all days. Not at all. I'm the one who asked him to bring you here. Hmm? Oh, yeah, I suppose so. He did say something to that effect. Well, I did, but I didn't request the rope. I think Impey threw that one in for fun. Lupin's eyes widen as if regarding me in a way he hadn't before. I giggle at his most un-Lupin expression. I have a present. This is the only place I could give it to you. Oh? Can't imagine what it might be, but it would be my very great pleasure to accept. I'm glad. All right, then, pushes him off the building. Bungee jumping! I place the city of London at my back, spread my arms out wide, and pirouette in place. I swing an arm forward to point at the great city of Steel London itself. Myriad plumes of steam billow up from below. Impossible massive gears groan as they move. Look, it's an airship! Airships taking flight slowly, carefully. The city that never grows old, presenting a new side of itself every time you look. What's up, bird? You see a birdie outside? What you doing? Standing here on the outer wall, you can survey its entire expanse. This is the city my father, Isaac, caused to spring into existence. Lupin, I wanted to show you this view. Oh? He's like a... Oh. Oh. I've read every word of Father's diaries. He wrote about this exact spot. Together at Buckingham Palace, we discovered my father, Isaac Beckford's diary. There was yet more to find even after the poignant message. Its latter half was sporadic, leaping about in time with lengthy gaps, some pages little more than angry scribbles. The final date was from just a few years ago, an entry written during construction of the city's infrastructure. The place we're standing, was originally a hill. When Father lived here, he would often visit this very spot. This was the place with the spectacular view he wrote about, the place he wanted to bring his children someday. Even during the most active periods of construction, Father would come to this place to gaze upon the city and enjoy the breeze. Although, by then he'd probably begun his descent into madness, was probably even well on his way to perfecting Code Realize. But even so, when he looked out on the city from this spot, he was able to reconnect with his intrinsic gentleness. I think Father felt affection for the city he was bringing into the world. Even if the city did constitute part of his grand plan, his code, he raised and nurtured it as one might their own child. He was still holding on to the dream of one day bringing his reconstructed family here to simply enjoy the view of London. The proof is in the view itself. None other can compare. The beauty and majesty I see from this vantage point capture the heart. He's like, so you want to give me a view? If Finnis truly had acquired Father's knowledge, I wonder if he came here too. He did. For here was where our Father's grand achievements could be felt most palpably. Yeah, and that airship just keeps making circles. Surely he would have felt it standing here, knew that it was Father's favorite. Of course, I'll never know for sure. I like this city. You and Impey, Victor, Saint Germain, Van Helsing and Delhi, Spacey, Sholmes, even Queen Victoria. This is the place I met those most important to me, where my best memories were forged. When I think of all the things I've yet to experience here, the events to come, I feel that I'll appreciate the city even more. This place of laughter, of tears. This place that so many call home. Even after the horrors it faced, a close look reveals a citizenry that is very much alive, their hopes and dreams untarnished. Oh, how about that? Saying goodbye with a big old smile on my face. How smooth is Mr. Impey, eh? The engineer grips his control rods firmly. Powerful steam-driven vibrations from the ornithopter resonate throughout his body. And in the rear-facing mirror mounted above him, the reflections of a girl and her beloved atop the outer wall of London.
Yeah, it's over all right.
He had flown too far to hear them now. Looking up through the glass canopy of the cockpit, beyond the puffs of steam, beyond the clouds, he sees vast, endless blue sky.
Whoa, whoa there! What ended, Impey Barbicane? Ended? No way, no how. It just started. Everything me and the old man were after.
Gripping the control rods with renewed strength, Impey looks straight ahead.
All right, let's blow this pop stand.
I love it.
Science is the front of human progress.
Oh, is the font of human progress. Okay.
And this genius engineer is about to show 'em all. First America, then a beeline to the moon.
Its engines sounding like nothing so much as the roar of an adoring crowd, the ornithopter sketches an impressive arc as it rises, cutting through the wind, slicing through the clouds, speeding towards the future. Is it going to wrap up everybody? Oh my god, that's so sad. This is going to make me fucking cry. This is going to make me fucking cry because it's like,
this is the end of everything.
The young chemical wizard's eardrums are tickled by a far-off sound, and he looks to the sky. He's going to see Impey, isn't he? Pure white clouds in a bright, sunny sky. Birds crisscross in flight overhead. A typical sight, until a familiar, flapping shape streaks across the expanse, catching Victor's eye. Taken off in the ornithopter, eh? How very like you, Impey. As Victor says those words to himself, the airframe picks up speed, glinting in the sun. Somehow it felt like Impey was sending him a reply, so Victor waved back, just in case. Is aught amiss, Professor Frankenstein? The conference is to begin shortly.
The Inhumane Weapons Treaty. When I first heard the notion, it seemed a thoroughly unrealistic goal, but...
To see you here, speaking at a multilateral conference, I confess I did not think you capable of taking such action. Blame the new me on my friends. Nobody wants to be killed, but should one party take arms, it inevitably means all parties must take arms. I sincerely believe this treaty represents a step towards a final eradication of those suspicions and fears. Come, Victoria, we'd best be going. I won't be running any longer. I have a purpose now, and I'll fulfill it with my own hands.
I'm not gonna be able to take this. I can't take it.
Is that Victor? Seems busy.
Oh my god!
Like, Impey is like, oh, watching Lupin, and then Victor sees Impey, and then fucking Van Helsing sees, oh my god, it's like they're, oh, guys, it's like a chain of events. It's a chain of sadness right now. It's beautiful and happy and sad at the same time. I don't know how to feel. Is that Victor? He seems busy. Van Helsing watched the familiar figure walk through the palace hallway from afar, narrowing his eyes in thought. A shrill voice soon rings out from behind, announcing its owner unmistakably.
Hey! What are you doing about, Helsing? Marquis Renfield summons you. He is prepared to depart for London.
The one-time vampire slayer indicates his understanding by raising a hand in the Child King's general direction. So much travel hither and yon. I suppose I am to have no rest at all. He holsters the shotgun he carries along his back. The weight is familiar as ever, but its heft has changed. Perhaps it's because the bullets within no longer carry the taint of revenge. It is a far greater challenge to wield one's weapon in defense than it is to seek vengeance. Look at that smirk. God, he's sexy. His friends had taught him that lesson. The ones he met here in this very city. Raising a hand to acknowledge Delacroix's voice, Van Helsing turns away from his past, striding toward the gates of London. Of course. Oh dear, it would appear I dozed off. This newfound tranquility lulls me to sleep so easily. Perhaps I am finally learning what it means to age. Oh my god, he's like, I'm like a fucking old man. I love it. Saint Germain, you're so adorable. Saint Germain relaxes in his chair in the airy courtyard, idly petting the frolicsome Spacey and regarding the deep blue sky. It was a sky he had seen tens of thousands of times before, one he was sure would never change. yet now it appeared more beautiful than he had ever imagined. Surely the changes in his very being were the cause. For today's high tea, the former immortal poured an appropriately chilled floral. Flower tea, a kind of tea traditional to China. There are three varieties, one in which the tea leaves are instilled with fragrance of petals, one in which petals are mixed in with the dry tea leaves, and one in which the petal itself is steeped. Filling 2 dainty teacups, he offered one to the person sitting across from him. You really must join me in tea for a change. I'm afraid I must decline. We've only come to check on your well-being. I must say, your mien is quite changed. You almost seem another person altogether, Saint Germain. No, I am me. Smiles certainly alight my face more frequently than before, but that is all. I see. A lovely thing. Winifred pauses for a moment. Perhaps she gave the faintest of smiles. Even the ever-perceptive Saint Germain could not be sure. Well then, my next assignment awaits. I shall be taking my leave. You have become a mortal man, and I suspect our paths will cross no longer. But I shall come calling once more when you lie upon your deathbed. I will look forward to it, as leisurely as possible, I must add. Sipping at his exotic tea, Saint Germain sits back in his garden chair. Absent-mindedly, he strokes the timepiece he wears around his neck. And so, my long, long life is soon to meet its end. What to do with the time that remains to me? You've got like 50 years, dude. He's like, soon. I mean, it's soon to him. Oh, you speak true, Spacey. I suppose I shall be caretaker of this place, so that our friends may return any time they wish. How very queer it is to think of a future filled with light. Full circle. A rush of emotions flow through me, almost as if I'm experiencing everything he's made me feel all at once. Lupin, I don't have any money. I have hardly any possessions. I can give you nothing. Even so, I need to express my feelings. That's why I brought you here. I wanted to give you this view, this vista my father left me. I'm sorry it isn't something tangible. As my words trailed off, Lupin's casual smile only grew into a beaming grin. Tangibility doesn't mean anything. You want me to have this, nobody else. And besides, Lupin takes my arm, pulling me closer. We need our last CG here. Just look at this view. Tell me it's not like a treasure chest. A treasure chest? Exactly. A treasure chest stuffed to bursting with intangible riches, memories, and feelings. You have them too, don't you? Yes, I do. So very many. Right here. I place a hand on my chest. Exactement. So thank you, Spacey, for this gift. The only one greater is you. It's astonishing to have both. I'm sure I'm the happiest man alive. Lupin, smiling as I draw close, about to embrace my gentleman thief. Ooh, it's like a cartoon. Here we go. There's our last CG. What? Pure white petals danced on the air. Lightly they tickled my cheeks, whirling and eddying in the breeze, before hurtling away over the city below. I felt as though London's famous rains had been replaced by flowers. Oh my! It's like magic! I had no idea your sleight of hand was this impressive, Lupin. Magic. A power that draws a clear distinction between science and isn't governed by physical laws. Idea's apostles use this power. Lupin? No, this isn't me. I didn't do this. But this actually happens? I've seen it all, and I'm stunned. You mean this was a coincidence? Yeah, sure is. Wait, no. There's a much better term for this. I take a moment to think on his words. A moment was all it took. The words seemed to escape my lips before I had even thought of it. It's a miracle. Indeed. It's been a week since our wedding. I suppose our wedding gift from the creator of this city came ever so slightly late. I didn't need to ask who he meant.
This is gonna make me fucking cry.
Taking me by the arm, Lupin leads me along the wall's perimeter towards the city. I know we're way over, but there's no way I'm going to stop this. All we could hear was the hustle and bustle of London and the gentle murmur of the wind. A cacophony of sound, yet somehow merging into one cohesive whole.
There's that airship again.
It was a voice I shouldn't possibly be able to hear. Yet there it was, and it was saying, "Congratulations." I wondered if Lupin could hear it as well. "Allow me to state this formally, Isaac Beckford. Your daughter has been claimed by none other than I, Arsène Lupin, gentleman thief extraordinaire, and I shall make her happy, without question, here in the city you built." Lupin's vow echoes throughout my being. I may not have his eloquent command of language, but there were words of my own I had to say. "Father, the happiness you so very much wanted to regain, the love and acceptance Finnis sought with all his heart, I want to share that with Lupin. I want to understand what love truly is."
What is going on that's flying behind the thing? You see, like, the little, like, are they supposed to be like birds flying in formation? Because they're like the size of the airship.
And so, I thank you. I promise, I will be happy. Having read Father's diary, absorbing its heartfelt message of happiness, I finally feel that I've laid the foundation for my own. Petals continue to fall upon the splendid city of science, steel, steam, and gears. In the light of the sun, they glimmer like jewels. Lupin, I want to ask you to grant my wish again. The very first one. Embraced in Lupin's warmth, the wind whipping about us, perhaps I was reminded of the night we met. The words I spoke then came back to me. I want to touch you. I want to feel your warmth. Everything had begun with that wish. Your wish is my command, mademoiselle. Lupin radiated the same confidence he did that night, but his voice was far more tender, and he spoke with a smile. I, Arsène Lupin, do swear here and now on this spot to...
Oh, I lied. This is our last CG. Guys. Oh.
The kiss. The kiss was the most gentle, warm, and true we had yet shared. It was as though we beat with one heart.
Well, yes, because you don't have one, but
neither of us asked for it. Neither of us initiated it. Our hearts and minds acted in unison. Never before had a kiss been so right. So perfectly at ease did I feel, time ceased to have meaning. Enveloped and embraced in the blessings of all creation, Lupin and I remained locked in the kiss for what may have been an eternity. I love you, Spacey. I love you too.
There's so many times where that could have ended and it would have been perfect, and then it just kept going. Like this. Oh my god, and so perfect, and then it just keeps going, and you're like, know when to end it, game. I'm not saying I don't love this game, but like, holy shit, it had about 14 endpoints in this last part. Like, oh my god, that's the perfect end. Oh no, we're going still. That's the perfect. Oh, we're still going. That is the perfect. Jesus game.
I was not born a monster. I was fashioned by a man who yearned for love. Saved by the hands of the man I love. I mean, we literally could have done a whole separate, like a second fucking, like another part. I literally did not think this whole thing was going to take like 4 hours to get through this because they wanted to end like 17 times. Jesus. I learned to love and be loved. I learned the truth of family. And that is who I am. A soul with love to offer, love to accept, and love to share. No, I was not born a monster. I was born me.
Are we going to end it, or are we going to have another thing? Because I'm just waiting for another thing at this point. I mean, I get it. They kind of wanted to wrap, and I loved the seeing all of our friends, and then the end. But there was like several points after that where I was like, oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. Wait, are we still going? I know I shouldn't complain, but it's like, dude, when you put a perfect end, and you're like, that is such, oh, okay, we're still going. We're still going. Oh, okay. Wow. That was a little bit too much. I'm not gonna lie, but I still loved it. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I think it's they did. I want to say maybe it's too good at like writing those scenes where you're like, oh no. Anyway, So I'm gonna wrap this part up here, long as it is. But and when we come back, we'll probably do. I'm thinking, because I'll probably record this next. We'll probably do Lupin's gang, because I feel like that would kind of be a good thing, and then we'll do Sholmes, and then we'll do Finis, like I said, because Finis, that's kind of where the third game will pick up. I think is when when Finis's path ends. That's where the third game actually picks up, which is weird to me. So the third game is more a continuation from that, like, because I think what happens in Finis's path is, you know, obviously in like Lupin's path, you go off with Lupin. In Finis's path, you decide to go off and be with your brother, get to know him, as opposed to being with any one of the guys. And from what I understand in the third one, depending on whose path you pick, like if it's Victor's, he comes to you like, I can't stop thinking about you, I need to be with you, type of a thing. Like they come punch you down, basically. So they chase you down. So what happened here in these last stories that we went through, that's it. That is the end. That's the happily ever after, done. There's nothing else yet. And then the stuff in the third game is after Finis's path. And then you got the other funny, like these things, like little bitsy things. Like where you can go on a date with 2 of them at a time. Because that's just so fan servicey. I don't know how that works, but I'm really intrigued by that. And I'm really hoping we can pick them. So we will have so much motherfucking fun with those combinations. I'm not even going to lie. Like, that's going to be a blast. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. But again, that probably won't be till like next year, because I doubt it's going to come out. I know it's being localized next year, but obviously, as I know more and as I find out, you'll be seeing that on Twitter, maybe here on the channel in games. I might give notifications, but Twitter is where all the notifications go. So it's a good place to find out what's going on with these games, because as soon as I see anything, it will be posted on there like, oh my God, guys, here's the date, and that sort of shit. But anyway, I will see you guys next time, and we'll start Lupin's Gang. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.